is Gordon Chambers, and you know I got soul.
All right, you know I got soul here with Gordon Chambers. Glad to have you here to talk about the new album, Surrender. Yes. First of all, let's talk about how you came up with the title and what made you go with that.
Well, first, I just want to thank your site for really supporting this album. You supported the singles, you supported the full album from day one. I really appreciate you being there for me. And the title, this is a very spiritual, inspirational album. It's cool. It's R&B. It's like you can dance to it, but it's an inspirational album. I love Mali Music's very much. Because he's like inspirational and cool. And I remember growing up listening to BB and CeCe Winans albums, and they were inspirational, but they were cool. You know, you could still play it like an R&B album. And that was kind of what I wanted to do with this album. And surrender, I mean in the spiritual sense. I mean surrender, don't fight the flow of things. Surrender to what's happening. And even when it's something that feels like it's bad, when you surrender to God or to your higher power, you know that it's going to be okay. I mean, when I say surrender, I think I'm talking about faith. I'm talking about perseverance. I'm talking about trust. And life is easier when you have those things in your life to lean upon rather than thinking that you fight all your battles on your own. And in the last 5 years during the making of this album, I had a lot of battles. I was grieving the loss of 6 family members, 2 friends, 1 ex, and I had friendship breakups, which can be very painful, you know, when you've been close with friends and you part your separate ways. And I was just, you know, made this album in my early 40s where I was kind of thinking of, okay, where do I fit in this ever changing record industry shifting paradigm, and really questioning a lot of times my self-worth and my place. And the songs that I chose to put on this album were songs, whether I wrote them or not, because I featured a lot of up-and-coming songwriters' works on this album. They were just songs that I felt were true and they were honest and they were transparent. I wanted to talk about what I was experiencing because I felt like deep inside, if I was bold and brave enough to share the wounds and peel back the cuts, so to speak, that I would be healed and that other people who would listen to the music would also be healed. And that's exactly how people are responding, and I'm very proud of that.
It's awesome. You know, it had been 5 years, like you mentioned. How did you know this was the time to get back in and get back to work on a new project?
You know, I'd been working on this album very slowly but surely. It was kind of like after Sincere, I felt like, okay, that's enough, Gordon. You've done 3 solo albums. Being an independent artist is so hard. You know, do I really want to do this anymore, or do I feel like people want this from me anymore? And I really was questioning that. And then I met songwriters, to believe it or not. I met a songwriter named Ken Penn, who will be here tonight. I'm singing one of his songs, Love and Help Somebody, tonight. I met him in the gym, and he just came up to me and said, "Are you Gordon Chambers?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You know, I'm a huge fan of your work. I'm a songwriter, too. I'd love to stay in touch with you. I know one of your producing partners, Troy Taylor, and we're buddies, and I'd love for you to hear some of my songs." And he sent me some songs, and one of them hit my heart so deeply. I'm like, I love the song. Can I just record this? And it was like, let me just record it for fun. And then there was another songwriter named Jamal Brookins, who 2 of his songs are on my album. I met his manager here at an SOB's event. And he said, you know, we just want to send you some songs just to listen to. So what happened was just me listening to songs, sort of as a songwriter that's been in the business, just kind of songwriters listening to me for feedback. It's like, that's really beautiful. I love that. Let me record that just for fun. Steph Reed, who's also going to be here tonight, wrote the first single, which is called I Made It. And I recorded that and it's a duet with myself and Eric Robeson and Steph Reed. It's a trio. And that was, again, just another song. I said, let me just record it for just for fun, just to see how it feels. So once I put my feet wet with those 3 songs, it was like, okay, what else do I have in my catalog? And then I went way back. I went back into my catalog of songs that I'd written many years ago, some of them in college that I had never published or never had covered by another artist. And I said, well, that fits this theme. And then I did over a song called One Voice that was recorded by Brandy, and I felt like that song reflected today's political times. And so I had like about 6 songs done with different producers that I know and producer friends, and then I had like half of an album. I said, okay, should this be an EP? I'm like, no, Gordon, you're not really an EP artist. People want an album from you. It's been 5 damn years already. So what I did was to get the rest of the album together, I called another friend, Shedrick Mitchell, who will be here tonight, one of the most amazing musicians in New York. I said, Shedrick, listen, I think I want to cut some songs. we sat at his apartment, got up some arrangements. He cooked up an amazing band, G.J. Ginyard, Jermaine Parrish, who's in the Soul Village band tonight, played on six of those songs, and we recorded it was like the Funk Brothers. We recorded like 7 or 8 songs like in 6 hours, and the songs came out amazing. The arrangements were amazing. The band was fabulous, and then I went back and just put vocals on those and background vocals, and then that became the album. And then I started mixing it slowly but surely with Blue. Off and on for years I was mixing this record, but I worked on it with Blue, who is just, his star is rising and shining so quickly. I'm so proud of him. While he was working on my album, he was also working on Solange's A Seat at the Table. And we, of course, know that Solange just won her first Grammy. So, he was working on my album and flying back and forth to work on hers, and very proud of him. He also mixed the Hamilton mixtape. So this album ended up being a congregation of beautiful new friends that I made during the making of this album, and of the next generation that really inspired me and told me, Gordon Chambers, we need you, we respect you, you're relevant, you matter to us. And then during the process of making this album, the weirdest thing happened is that Tory Lanez sampled If You Love Me, and it became this huge hit record called Say It. It's Daniel Jones, who was the first person who called me. Now, Daniel Jones, of course, was the first, he's like Soul Village music director emeritus. He was the first original music director before DW. Called me. He's like, Gordon, they're using your song, right? I'm like, what is he talking about? So in the middle of me making this album, this quote-unquote midlife crisis album, I find that I have this song racing up the youngest chart, which was the sample of my cut that I wrote for Brownstone. So it was just amazing that during the process of this album, that something like that would just happen out of the blue like that, and this whole other hit record touching another generation. And that was, I think, a sign from God to keep going, to show me that music matters, that my music matters, and to keep on going. And so then that's what happened. I've shot some videos for this album because there was a song that Steph Reed wrote called I Made It. The hook could have been dead and gone, but I made it. And earlier this year, exactly 1 year ago, on Valentine's Day of 2016, I was at home chilling out, and then my house started burning down. And 3 days after crying all day long, I called a video director named Charles Robeson. I said, listen, I recorded a song some time ago, and I think we could shoot a video to the song in the shell of this actual burned house. And that's where we shot I Made It. We shot it in the house that I'm still rebuilding, but we shot an amazing, really powerful testimonial video. This is a house that Daniel and Jermaine, who's playing tonight, have hung out in many, many times. I mean, this was a very beloved house that was a communal house for so many creative people would come there and hang out. So I was like, why me? Why this house? Why now? Why God? Why? But after 3 days of just complete depression, Daniel called me. He said, Gordon, he said, listen, come to Soul Village tonight. If you have the spirit, just come out to Soul Village. The guys want to just see you and just do something for you. So I didn't know what it was. I came here, and to my beautiful surprise, they had actually done a musical tribute to me here. And that was 1 year ago. That was Soul Village of February 2016. And the next day after that is when I decided that the only thing that was going to heal me from this pain was music. And that's when I started working on the music video, and we shot that in the house. And that video has been moving and touching and inspiring people. And we're going to sing that song tonight.
Wanted to mention that video a little bit too, because it's such a powerful and moving video, like you said. What allowed you to be so vulnerable and go right in the shell of the house and just put yourself out there like that?
It was just a feeling that it was a feeling that if I can share this story, it can touch somebody. And because there are other people, not everybody's dealing with fire, but people are dealing with illness. People are dealing with, we have veterans, we have so many problems in the world, and people are just looking for hope, and looking to pat themselves on the back, really. And say, I'm not a victim of what I'm dealing with. I may be still dealing with it, but I'm not a victim. I made it. So I wanted to empower other people using the fire as my story, but to connect with people to say, and I tell you, I've just started promoting this album, but I've sang the song at a couple of venues now. And I mean, I've had one woman come to me, she said, I've beat cancer. I've had 2 rounds of cancer. I've beat cancer twice. She said, I made it. And she said, that's my anthem. And I've had school teachers say that they're playing the song for kids, now. And it's just like, it's just become this beautiful anthem and a way for people to connect with whatever they're persevering through in their lives. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. And doing the video in the fire burnt house was, for me, metaphorically like, I may have taken some knocks, but like the foundation of the house, I'm still here. I'm still standing, and I am still, I'm still here.
Right.
And that was what it was all about.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned remaking the Brandy song you had written for this album.
Yes.
You mentioned the Brownstone song you had
Yes.
written, and that
Yeah.
got new attention this last year. So, many know you came from writing early
Yes.
on. So much success there. What are your biggest achievements as a writer? You feel like what are you most proud of as in your writing?
I'm most proud of "If You Love Me." I mean, "If You Love Me" was the first song that I ever had that was ever on the radio. It was the number 1 airplay record on Billboard in 1994.
Wow.
It was Grammy nominated. It wasn't Grammy winning, but it was the number 1 airplay. And it's been recorded 10 times. It's been recorded in Spanish. It's been recorded in Korea. It gets used on, some of the American Idol shows and stuff like that. I mean, this song has really become a classic song. I mean, they do it at karaoke. And it's interesting because it's, when it came out, it was very unlike anything that was on the radio. It started out where it was just, there was no drums till the chorus. I mean, I remember having a big fight with Dave Hall and I'm like, David, why are you taking the drums out? And he's like, people need to hear these words. Because the demo had the drums in from the beginning. So it was this song that was a new group, and it was this very emotional song, but it had this beat to it, and people listened, and it's become an open mic classic. It's become a classic song, and it was my first song, and then it became like a hip-hop classic again. So I'm just proud of that because it's bridged, 20 years later, it's bridged through generations.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then as a writer, someone who started out having success there, what was the transition like into becoming an artist yourself and getting yourself in the spotlight?
It was rough. I mean, I had 2 record deal offers that didn't work out. I had a record deal from Motown and a record deal from Universal, and like right when we're all in the politics of it, it just, at the right when we're supposed to sign, something happened. So I was like, okay, maybe this is not for me. But I was actually producing Whitney Houston, and she looked me directly in the eye. She said, I think you want to do what I do, baby, and if that's what you do. I was like, what did you say? And I had been hearing that artists were releasing their product. I remember coming to SOBs and seeing John Stevens as an independent artist with his backpack and selling his CDs. And of course, we know he went on to become John Legend. I remember Norah Jones performing in showcases around town. And I remember hearing Kem on the radio before he got signed to Motown. So I was just hearing about, this independent thing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can try this thing. I'll try it, just doing it just kind of for fun, and we'll see what happens. And recorded my first album with friends, really, Troy Taylor, Barry Eastman, producers. These producers I worked with on other projects, and Prince Charles Alexander mixed the first 2 albums. And it was just like friends who were in my role. We were friends who made music together, and I just called everybody and said, hey, look, I'm doing this on my own. I'm financing this on my own. I ain't got Motown's budget, but, what can we do? Can you help me? And it took me just getting into a humility of asking people for help. I just really thought people were going to say no. You know what I mean? And once I finally just got over that fear of rejection and asked people around me to help me, everybody helped. And then we started, that was 12 years ago. That was, to December 2004.
Wow.
Yep.
Awesome. And
but actually, before that first launch show at BB King's, I did a pre-show here at SOBs when I did like a trial run to do some of the songs live for the first time. So SOBs was home for me because it was where I tried out some of those songs even before I released them. Yeah.
Awesome. Final question.
Yes.
You mentioned working with some new writers on this album that you had linked up with.
Sure.
And we encounter so many emerging writers and artists
of course.
in this journey we have. So what are some qualities you see in a new artist or writer that you think makes them successful or talented at what they do?
I think that when they have a new swagger, but they have a something about them that feels classic, and when I feel like they have respect for classics, you know what I mean? Like they could be new, but in their newness, you can hear that they've studied. Because I think the greatest music of any generation harks back to a generation before it. I mean, why do we love Badu? It's because Badu loves Billie Holiday. Stevie Wonder's one of his biggest hits was about Duke Ellington. The greats are always studying the greats before them. So when I hear new musicians, I'm always looking for that respect that they draw upon, but then they present it and they remix it in their own way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you. This is an exciting night for me to, premiere this new album live for the world. I should have been Facebooking live, but I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to your site for always supporting me. Thank you to SOBs for having us tonight. And my Instagram is Gordon Chambers, and my Twitter is Gordon Chambers, and my website is gordonchambers.com. And I'm grateful to have been in this business for 25 years. And big wheels keep on turning, and I'm going to keep on rolling tonight, and we're rolling. So thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thanks.